before you were Tamara or Hudson, you were just little Tamara from Philly, or you were born and raised, correct? You were born
Born
and
and raised
raised?
Philly. Yep, born and
Yeah.
raised Philly. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I know it was a lot going on during that time. I mean,
Yeah.
so I just want to get a little bit more of the backstory of what became of Tamara or Hudson. So, do you born single parent household to parent household, siblings, all that good stuff? I just want to start from the beginning.
Um. Well, let me see. So, well, my
Because
mom
I
and dad
know,
were,
like I said before, I'm sorry, before you start, because I could tell right now, I could see you being like this, you were stylish from the beginning. I could just tell that you had, bamboo
yeah.
earrings, at least two pair, a Fendi bag, and somewhat of a
Uh,
spicy attitude. I
well,
just see
I
that happen. I
well,
just see that with you.
not a Fendi bag, but my mom really did dress me super cute. I was,
I can
the
imagine.
kids back in the day, we weren't like name brand, but baby, we had the ruffle socks and the frilly socks and the patent
Ah,
leather shoe. I'm a church baby, so my
yes.
mom dressed me up in the frillies and the different things, honey. We was the thing on Easter and every Sunday. It was a thing. But no, I did grow up. My mom and dad were married when they conceived me, and I did grow up only child for about 10 years.
Oh, okay.
And then, but I
Okay.
do have a sister that's 10 years younger than me. And
Yes,
so my mom and my dad, raised me up in church. My dad could sing, my mom can sing. So I was singing
of course,
as
naturally.
soon as I came out.
Hmm.
I'm a natural born leader, to be honest with you. And
Yes.
so, I was directing the choir. I was all things to all people. I was the usher. I was the praise and worship leader over time. Just the
Yes.
choir director. I mean, I've done it all in church, literally.
Right. But I was, yeah,
Besides, become a
yes,
pastor just yet. But I mean, when you're an ordained elder and different roles in the church. It's a very similar role. You know what I mean? And so,
right.
yeah, so I grew up singing. I grew up in front of people. I was never afraid to just jump in there and do what I do. I'm a whole personality, and I've been that
Yes.
from the beginning. Okay.
Yes.
I've been
So,
a character
yeah,
from day one.
because I want to know how was that personality like? Because I want to know, like, as
Yeah.
far as your schooling, because I want to start off with elementary and junior high. Let's start there, and then I also want to
Mm.
get into your extracurricular activities and what you did for fun. Outside of the church.
I
So
went
let's.
to Webster. So I lived in an area called Logan, the Logan Island area, and I basically was bused. They would call it
Oh,
bust, and so I
okay.
had a
Mhm.
neighborhood school, but because of my test scores and who I was in IQ, they bused me to the white neighborhoods.
Oh,
So talk about
okay.
that, right? So
Wow.
I winded up going to Webster Elementary in the Northeast, which was pretty far from my area. So I caught the yellow bus there to just give
Mhm.
me a better opportunity at a better education. Nothing wrong with the neighborhood school, but I ain't trying to go fighting every day and all of that
Right.
type of
Right.
stuff.
And
So it was a blessing. So I ended up having the opportunity to go to school in the Northeast, and then once I went to middle school, my middle school was also in the Northeast as well. So I was in a predominantly white area. At that point, it was called Kensington and Allegheny, which now is such a crazy area. But then it was very, very school focused. Had a lot of schools up in that area where a lot of the black kids was able to go to
mhm.
and kind of have a different environment. I'm not going to say a better school but just a different environment, different teachers, a different experience than just a predominantly black school. You were
Got
able to
you.
experience, the
Right.
different things or whatever. And the truth is, I have to be honest, and I say this all the time just to kind of go back to it. I'm not really one that has received a lot of racism. Like I was, as much as I was in the Northeast and I
I
was
don't. I didn't
able,
expect that.
I really
Yeah.
didn't. My teachers loved me. I had Caucasian
Yeah.
girlfriends,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And so
Mhm.
some of the things that we've gone through over time, it really wasn't my testimony. You know what I mean? I'm lovable by all.
Oh
Okay.
yes, I
All
believe
of them.
that.
All of them.
I believe
Okay.
that.
When I was in high school, I went to a high school, speed up to high school. As far as extracurricular activities, we was in church a lot. So it wasn't
Mm.
too many of
You know,
those.
much time.
Plus
Hmm.
my school was far, so I didn't do a
A
lot.
lot.
I
Okay.
may have been on maybe like a choir or two or
Hmm.
something musical. I probably did something musical, but I don't really remember. once I got to high school, which is one of the best high schools in Philly still to this day, it was called Girls High. It was an all-girl high school, and it was very competitive to get into this particular school, and I was really grateful to be able to do that. It also was only 5 blocks from my house. So not only was I blessed to go to a great school, but I actually was near my home as well. So that was a blessing. And so I did a lot in high school. I definitely was on the gospel choir, you know, became really popular singing. You know, I got on the drill team. I was the captain of the drill team, dance team. So that was good. I was the captain of that for 2 years. And honey, we was stepping. Okay.
All right.
Honey, we was okay. We was stepping. And so that was really exciting. And again, really just in all of my school years, just really honing in on leadership. That's really what I just playing the background just wasn't a thing for me. You know, I was always really in leadership. And so, you know, that's kind of how it was during my school years. And of course, on the backside of that, I was in church as a teenager, and a lot happened. My grandmother passed at 13. At my age of 13. And so my church went through a pretty strong transition at that point. And so my great aunt, her name is Bishop Britton, became the bishop at that point. My grandmother passed, and so did the pastor of the church at that time, my great aunt as well. And they died 30 days apart. So there was a huge transition that happened in our family around the age of 13 and 14 for me. And to catch up on this, at this point, my parents are divorced. You know, so I'm in a divorce situation. You know,
so you had a lot going on.
I had a lot going on.
So much.
I had a lot going on, you know, and I was very optimistic, but I had a lot going on in my life. And I'll let you take it.
But so I wanted to go back into you being bused. The elementary, junior high, just a little bit. And you being bused, and you mentioned that you didn't experience racism or prejudice, which I guess I understand that because honestly, I think you get more pushback from us. So I just wanted to ask you about that. Did you get any pushback from your peers around you? They connect you to, you know, that you was uppity, or you thought you was all that in the bag of chips because you were bused and you went into a different type of school setting and different atmosphere, different, predominantly white school. Did you get that type of pushback from?
To be honest with you, I was never the neighborhood girl. I did not.
Meaning what?
Meaning I was never like around, like once I didn't go to that school, I wasn't really around the kids that went to the neighborhood school. I didn't sit on a step. I didn't, I wasn't, and I did have one best friend that I might have, but we went in each other's house. See, I was the kind of kid that was singing in the mirror with braid spray bottles. I wasn't the run up and down the street kid.
Why was that? Why wasn't that?
It just wasn't who I was. I was into makeup. I was learning how to do my hair. I was
girl.
Hair. I was putting on lash. I was finding little pieces of lash to put on because I couldn't buy the whole lash. I didn't even know what I was doing. But I'm buying eyeliner. I'm putting on fake nails until I was able to go. I was the girly girl.
You was girl's girl.
I was the girly girl. I was in the house screaming, singing to the top of my lungs. I don't know how my mom and them did it. Because I was singing John P. Key and Hezekiah Walker and just screaming. And now, of course, I'm a 90s baby. So I was singing SWV and I was singing.
I was about to say, come on. What else was there? What else was there? What else was in
it? BET was yes. So between singing John P. Key, Hezekiah Walker, Timothy Figueroa, and just all the people at that time that I was trying to mimic at 13 and 14 and 15. And then, of course, you have the whole 90s movement.
Oh,
why would I be outside? Look, why would I be outside?
Yes. I mean, wasn't at a time, Tamara, in 90s? Wasn't at a time?
Ooh, girl,
oh my goodness!
Listen. I'm rocking my chain right now. What do you? I look 90s right now. You see me?
Do your pose, Tamara. Do your pose, Tamara.
Now that's a little bit of the 80s. I ain't really an 80s girl. but no, so I did not experience some of those things. Now we talk about church.
But let me ask you about that.
That's a different story.
Yes, I want to get more to that because I'm wondering, growing up in a church, I wonder was there any time, and I know you enjoyed it, I can tell you enjoy that,
Yeah.
worshiping and just fellowshipping, but younger, in your younger years, was there ever a time that did you rebel? Where you like got
Yeah.
to the point where you were just like, God, is this all there is? So I'm just curious about that.
Ah.
You know,
Let me see.
there's got to be more to this.
As
Yeah.
a teenager, I definitely got to that point, but
Yes.
I don't think as a
I was
teenager.
hoping you would say that. I was like, if you would say no, I'm like, girl, you lying. Okay.
No. Yeah, I definitely got to that place, but I didn't get to that place as a teenager. I think I
Mm,
got to the place. The transition was as much as a leader that I was when I was younger. The truth is, I became the biggest leader when my great aunt Bishop Britton took over.
mhm.
My mom became a little bit further in the ministry, and then that was when at 13 or 14 I could really kind of sing. So that's when I became the praise and worship leader. That's when I became the choir director. That's when I became a little more of a leader than I was before my grandmother and she passed. So we became like, she took about a good 10 of us that were all around the same age and kind of made the foundation of her church. All
Got you.
our
Okay.
parents were there and all that, but she took the younger group and began to groom them for ministry. And
Got
so
you.
the truth is, I loved it. Honestly, I loved it. Every church has its highs and lows, but we were a family church. We was picking them up and we was praisers. I
Yes.
loved the church. I loved the
Yes.
whole movement of church. And I think, on the heels of where you're trying to go with this,
Yes.
I think my love for church and because the truth is, before you get to know God, you get to know church sometimes,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so you get to know God's people a lot of times before you have an actual encounter with God. You
Mm,
shout and you have the spirit and all of that. But the truth is, you get
true.
to meet God's people as a
Yes.
representation of God before you meet God in life.
Hmm. So let me
You
ask you
understand?
that. Right.
Yeah.
Go. I understand totally, because that's why I'm gonna go into this
Yeah,
before you make God, and because you had, like you said, you have the foundation. So you're building the church within the church and the church within yourself.
correct.
So now I wanted to know, before you got to know God for yourself, what was your interpretation of God at that time?
I don't know if I've really thought about it. Like
You didn't
sometimes
think
you
about it,
don't think
okay?
about it until you're talking about it in these forums. You know what I'm saying? My
Because you hear the
interpretation,
teachings and the preaching, you
correct.
hear the sermons, you hear, and that's the only interpretation that you know,
Yeah.
based on what was preached to you,
What's being
was being
taught.
taught
So
to you.
my
Right.
mom,
So what was your perception?
my perception was that, well, that can go so many
Yeah,
different.
I know. I know that's kind of layered. I know.
That's very
Yeah.
loaded. That's very loaded. So
Yes.
let me start off with naturally. My
Okay.
perception of God was, if you praise him, it's gonna happen for you. You know what I mean? It was based in service to God. It was based in, if you do this for God, he gonna do this for you, and that whole flow. And I watched him perform miracles even as even in my teenage years and things like that. But I will say that spiritually, what we've learned over time, and not specifically my church or my family, but the church at large, is that there were many times where how we were treated or what we learned was based in control.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And not that the teachings weren't correct or anything like that, but over time we begin to understand the breakdown of some of the scriptures, the breakdowns of some of the revelations of scripture, the breakdown of who God truly is, who Jesus truly is, and what that means for us. And so growing up in which again, I love my background. I love the Pentecostal church. I love the apostolic. This is what we do. Okay. But I have definitely grown from my teachings as my foundation, and all that I've learned and all that I've done to really, really sit where I am now at the tender age of what I am now,
Right. Right.
having
Right.
learned and seen a lot. And everybody's interpretation of what church and God and everything means to them,
It's
um,
different.
forms them as
Right. Yes.
a sainted saint later on in life, and how you view
Or a
certain
tainted
things,
saint.
or a tainted saint, correct, and
Mhm.
how you will take what was done to you? And do you have grace and teach differently, or do you take that and begin to control other people? And that's really
Mm.
that's really what that is. You know what I mean? And so for
Wow.
me, you know, so that's why I said it was a loaded question, because naturally
Right.
and spiritually it's two different conversations. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And so where you land on the spectrum of how you treat people based upon your experiences comes from how rooted and grounded your relationship with God is,
Mm.
because your relationship
Got it.
with God is what defines what
Yes.
was right and wrong and what you were taught. I'm talking
Yes.
good tonight, girl.
Yeah.
You getting some good
Yeah.
stuff tonight,
Yeah.
girl. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good right
Yeah.
there. That's good.
That's good. Yes,
Woo!
that's the word. That's the word. So
That's a
let me ask
word.
you that. So that transition between you getting to build the foundation and knowing more about God and God's presence in your life. So, and then within the church setting and how you fellowship among people, where did the rebellion come in at? When it become like a, even though the God was still in you, I mean, that didn't go away. I mean, I'm
Right,
not
right,
saying
right,
that.
right.
No, but there was
So
a moment, there had to be
so
moments
I
where,
don't think I would never call um anything I've done rebellion, to be
okay,
honest with you.
okay,
Because now what I will say is there were moments where people thought I should have done something different.
like,
But for instance, okay, um, when I was 19, I went away. When I was 18, I went away to college,
okay,
and me and my cousin were the first to go away to college. Me and my guy cousin, Richard Spearman. Hey,
what college
Rich.
was that? What college?
Oh, I went to, excuse me, I went to University of Maryland Eastern Shore
Oh, okay, DMV.
down in
Okay,
Salisbury, Maryland.
okay.
Woo-hoo, UMES, right? It was so country, girl.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, I went there, and at the age of 19, because I was singing with one choir. I was all ready to sing with this one
Yeah.
choir. I ain't even gonna say the name of the choir, girl, because it's too popular. If you know, you know. If you don't, it's fine. So I start singing with the choir, and let's just say that didn't work out. Okay,
Okay.
it
Okay.
wasn't a good fit for whatever reason, because I don't like to put this out. I mean, I'll tell the story. I just don't want to put it on a live. You know, it is what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Me and the leader of the choir have talked about this a million times, but I ain't gonna put him out there on this one. I'm gonna put him out on the next one, maybe. Anyway, it's fine.
Yes, come back for that one.
I'm gonna come back for that one.
Yeah,
But
come back for
anyway,
that one.
so really popular choir. I begged my mom and my pastor to let me sing on the choir. They let me sing on the choir, and then everything that they said was gonna happen happened.